Yeah, this movie is to discuss the artwork Carbon Cloud, which I did in 2013 initially, and it's been developing since then, mainly in collaboration with Professor Christophe Koziol at Cambridge University and Cranfield University, who has invented a process for extracting carbon directly from the atmosphere, either from carbon dioxide or from methane. And to my mind, this is the quickest way of reversing global warming. It's far quicker than anything that Desert Cloud could do, which was invented in the 60s, 1968.
Yeah, so you invented Desert Cloud in the late 60s, was it?
1968,
Yeah.
I went in for a competition. The next great British invention. And I put in something called atmospheric raft.
Yeah.
And it didn't get anywhere, but the waterbed won the competition.
Yeah, when you invented the waterbed. So everyone wants a waterbed, but not a way to use solar power to generate water in the desert. Because why would you need that? Waterbeds are forever, yeah.
Yeah, it was, I think it was heated waterbed. That was the prize, yeah. So, yeah, but then it was specifically to provide all the energy requirements of the world. Very ambitious project.
Yeah. Just
to replace all fossil fuels so that there was no need to go under the ground in mining, and everything can be got from above the ground, from the atmosphere.
But you've been doing this in art since the 60s and 70s, so this is an art piece.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is what you've been doing since the 60s, and using art as a way to sort of help progress alternative energy sources.
Well, I was trained in architecture, and I've always thought the best way of encapsulating something is to put it into an art form, as the purest form of a statement, really. So it's a sculpture as a statement of a particular thing of interest. So the cloud, as it ended up, sort of really sums up 10 years' work in air structures. Because I'd gone through all the standard air-supported structures, and then my particular breakthrough was to make it interactive so that it responded to the body. So it connected the body to the environment.
Which, I mean, I guess that hits on why we're recording this for COP26, right? And you were saying that it's sort of your philosophy that the purest way to would you say, enact change or, enact change is through art. And so as artists, you know, we need to sort of make statements regarding COP26, right? I mean, that's...
Yeah, that's the basic statement in the work, that it's unlikely to be agreed by politicians at this stage. They haven't agreed for 50 years, and they're unlikely to agree on the best route to reverse global warming.
Yeah, well, yeah.
As they've simply failed to so far.
How can you agree when all the lobbyists keep changing directions?
Yeah, so it really is saying that artists can have a significant role by participating in the imagery and the vision of what this implies to reverse global warming, and for artists to link up with the industrial might of the planet that actually has the capacity to do this in the very short period of time that we have available, which is, according to the paper by Dijkstra and others, is less than 10 years, depending on what we do. If we do something, we can extend that 10 years to 20 years. If we do a bit more, we can extend it to 30 years. But we have a very short period of time, and there's no guarantee. I mean, we could be past the point of no return already. It's just that we don't know it.
Well, there's multiple points of no return, right? So there's multiple points that we pass where we can't get back certain things that we have lost, right? So that's, I guess it's confusing because we say point of no return, like there's one set point of no return, but there's a point of no return for, say, certain types of life on the planet. There's other points of no return for other types of life or all life on the planet, right? I mean,
yeah. So it's too late for all the species that have gone extinct. I mean,
exactly. That's okay. Those are some points we have passed. For example.
But also, another paper's come out where Greenland apparently has gone past the point of no return, just as its own particular ecosystem of that land mass is unrecoverable. So all the science that's been done has done its best, obviously, to calculate how long we've got. But there's no guarantee, and the scientists have been wrong in the past. But the refinements of the models are now at a level where it's pretty certain that the basic idea that the planet, unless carbon is taken out of the atmosphere, will overheat and all the biosphere will perish because it will be unlivable when it gets to the temperature of another planet like Venus, for example.
I mean, I want to pull it back into art though, because the whole point as artists, right? We're making these statements because we've heard this, even if they're climate deniers, right? Most people have been inundated with sort of this information, right? This is in the common lexicon now, right? Climate change and what's going on. And this idea that maybe the answer is affecting change from the stance of artistic works is interesting. And I guess I'd like to bring up we did a show recently together, right? And I want to share the story of the lady who was visiting and someone from the town hall who sponsored the show. I guess ran into a lady who had seen our show, and she was really depressed. And they were asking, "Oh, how's your visit to the area?" And she was I shouldn't laugh. She was depressed because she had seen our show, and she said apparently to the mayor's aide, I guess, I just saw this show and it was really heavy, and I just realized I don't know what I can do. Which was intense for me because I didn't actually know what kind of effect a conceptual show on climate change would have on people, right? So clearly we can do something with art. Clearly we have an effect
That was one interesting aspect of the show, which actually worked quite well. It was intended to be participation.
Yeah.
And we got people to participate, and we got their reaction. So we had the whole range of reaction as to how they felt about being presented with the information that the planet might go extinct, which is a pretty heavy piece of information to handle. So that, I think, that the whole basis of the work is, in a way, that is easier to comprehend in the context of an art gallery rather than as a news item on BBC News.
Yeah.
So, how are they going to announce the end of the planet? How are they going to announce the point of no return? Now, sorry folks, it's too late. So the whole idea is to extend. We've always kind of implicitly relied on politicians or industry and have good faith in industry is going to solve industrial problems or environmental problems for that matter, which we don't have. We don't rely on farmers for solving environmental problems, interestingly enough. But the idea is that to find a way, a format in which artists can all participate, and because they're very good at connecting with people. There's some very good artists around. So the idea, and several artists like Ai Weiwei or Anish Kapoor, I mean, have talked about collaborating with artists, and artists should collaborate on environmental projects. So it's a question of how to extend the format of existing formats of the art world, which is the gallery, the museum, exhibitions which connect the artist to the public. So that's the first extension. But the other, it links to the technical extension, where you have this new technology, carbon cloud, by Cambridge University Professor Koziol. It now has to be scaled up. I mean, it's actually performing as we speak.
Yeah.
It's taking 500 tons of carbon directly from the atmosphere. And this is the best performance anywhere, as far as I know. Elon Musk has offered a prize for any group of scientists to win.
X Prize, it's the X Prize, right? Yeah.
And then there's the Earthshot, which has also just awarded its first range of prizes for technologies that are in prototype stage or up and running to a certain degree. One of which the electrolysis machine is fairly far advanced in production. So the question is always how to scale up, because we have to remove something like 40 gigatons of carbon from the atmosphere. It's got 400 or so.
How many times
in the atmosphere.
How many times during this show did we hear someone go, "But what could I do?" Right?
And that's exactly
that's we heard that.
So how
hundreds
can you
of
get
times,
from hearing the information to doing something about it? So the idea is that the galleries can be the interface where these machines, they call them reactors, by the way. We can put one of these reactors, which are only the size of a container. So they could go in many national galleries, certainly. Major galleries have that kind of space, inside or outside. They could be installed as an actual artwork. So it's the artist naming a technology or a machine as a piece of art.
Like a carbon capture ready-made.
Ready-made.
It's sort of a ready-made that carbon captures. I like that. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, well, artists have come up with a lot of solutions.
Yeah. I mean, even just mobilizing people, because like I said, all of, the reality of climate change, I think, has hit most people now. So a lot of people who were climate deniers now sort of deny having been climate deniers. And now the question is, well, we can't do anything, right? And as artists, we sort of, like you said, have a unique way of interfacing with people, right? If art is philosophy by other means, maybe, obviously, standard means of getting the word out there that we need to do something haven't succeeded, clearly. So maybe we need other means, and that's the role of art, right? That's
one of the things that was also interesting. I mean, we started collaborating, and then you come up with a kind of response to the work.
over your head. Yeah.
Over your head,
yeah.
Which is about the difficulty of communicating something very technically. And the work we did with just pasting a whole scientific paper to the wall like wallpaper.
I didn't know how people would respond to this, because it's, we printed very large on A0 width, right? A scientific paper on the point of no return, and we mixed it with post-apocalyptic imagery, some of my photography from my climate change series. And we go, okay, I think someone said when we were setting it up that they were worried someone's going to just walk in, see the paper, see the math on it, turn around and walk out. But people, I think that got some of the best response was that piece, actually.
Yeah, well, it's really
It's crazy.
a valid experiment in people's reaction to information.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know whether people would simply reject. I mean, obviously people aren't reading these, they haven't been reading these scientific papers.
Yeah, and they didn't read it at
50
the
years.
show, right? Like, it's not like they sat there and read the whole scientific paper at the show.
And that comes to the point of how the European Commission invited me to work with any of their scientists in their joint research centre to communicate to politicians to the level of making policy. And they said this is not a public relations exercise, it's really desperate because we think maybe politicians listen more to artists than they do to scientists, because they're certainly not listening to scientists. So that's the scientists actually also agree that maybe if they made their science into art, then people would understand it. Yeah. So artists do have this capability of expressing. Exactly, that is their primary mode of existence. So it's a question of because the situation is so bad with, we are actually talking about the end of the planet, that we have to use everything and all means possible. Yeah. And to have artists, twiddling their thumbs or doing totally other systems of art, it seems a bit irrelevant at this point in time. It seems that the most important thing to do now is to work on environmental solutions to global warming. I mean, it has to be said that this technology is one specific technology to address the particular problem of extracting carbon from the atmosphere from either methane or carbon dioxide. So it's not about the whole other mass of problems to do with biodiversity, which, of course, has to continue. There's no excuse for stopping any of that, because this technology is now available to take the shortest route to stabilizing the atmosphere so it doesn't heat up anymore. Yeah, so I think the whole point is the
yeah. So in the end, what's the thesis statement?
Yeah, what we're trying to do, because it's like a kind of manifesto, the statement. Yeah. So it's extremely ambitious for a start, and that's also been a feature of what I've always tried to do: fairly ambitious projects. So it's taking the most ambitious project, which is to save the planet, basically.